Hey, welcome to the show. It's Council Future Conflict, episode 541. Today we're talking about the Druze Dogpile and when leftists attack. Because that's been a lot lately. Let's see. What was our weekly terrorist attack this week, Joe? I mean, they happen so frequently. It all runs together. We're gonna talk in that one. We're gonna talk some recent stuff with just absolutely state of the Democratic Party as it happens. And Bernie Sanders has thrown off his Democratic ideas to join his communist brethren in New York City. So it should all be a lot of fun today. If you haven't done it already, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm not doing as well as these guys in the photo. I'm doing pretty good. Overslept a little bit. I would like to point out for the Michael Tracy's among you that is not a tank behind them.
I heard it is a tank, so I don't know that I can believe you there, Joe. It looks like a tank.
I can see the doors open in the back.
I thought that was a maintenance panel.
It appears to be an MTLB. So anyway, these guys obviously don't understand the purpose of a combat shirt is not to just wear it plain. It's to be worn underneath your chest rig. But hey, good for them. They are wearing drip in the true fashion of Colonel or Captain or whatever Major, I guess it is, Ibrahim Traore. So,
hey, Joe, I've shared a couple links with you in the past couple of days. He's been in the news quite a bit lately. So, I mean, just to kind of get an African drip segment back in, we'll have to do a segment on Traore and his home improvement show that he's doing in the country of Burkina Faso. He's been basically, look at this road that we're building. Look at the stadium that we're building. There's been a lot of improvements in Burkina Faso. It's almost like when you get rid of the corruption, you can basically take all the corruption money and turn it back towards projects for the people.
Well, I think that what he's trying to do is set himself up as a warlord of the greater Sahel. So maybe we do need to do a whole show on what Sahel is happening in Africa.
What the hell is happening in Sahel? Yeah, 100%. I think a winning strategy for that part of Africa might be a Bukele model, right? Like if you go like the nice guy dictator, or the nice guy authoritarian. Hey, I'm not being authoritarian against regular people. I'm just being authoritarian against the criminals. And look, I like all the
guns of my soldiers are pointed at the legislature, not you.
Yeah, and Bitcoin bros are all welcome, so that all the African Bitcoin bros would have a place to go in Burkina Faso.
You said African and Bitcoin bros in the same sentence, as if that makes sense or that's a thing.
Now, Joe, you clearly haven't been. Yeah, I was gonna say you haven't been paying attention to the Nigerian princes in the last 10 years because that's where all the money's going.
Here's a crazy thing. And this happened, and I'm not sure how many times it actually happened, like for the complete betterment of these people. But way back in the day when Bitcoin was new, people set up these things called faucets, where you could complete very simple actions like looking at an ad, and they'd pay you out in Bitcoin. And it was teeny tiny amounts of Bitcoin for the time. But if you look back on how much some of those faucets paid out now, it was on the order of multiple hundreds of billions of dollars.
So a lot of Nigerian prince just wanting to give away his money, and nobody believes.
No, not wanting to give it away, but like people who just did those little teeny tiny tasks, got tiny amounts of Bitcoin way back in the day, forgot about it, and now have pretty substantial fortunes.
Well, yeah, if I remember correctly, back in the early days of Bitcoin, just to give you an idea, Joe, right? Like, let's say you got all hyped up on Bitcoin in, say, 2014, right? You could get like 1/10 of a Bitcoin like super easy, right? Back then, because Bitcoin was like worth like less than $100. And so like they did a lot of that kind of stuff, especially in countries like Nigeria.
May I interject for a moment? I did not mean to push the nerd out button.
Well, I'm just saying, and anyway, you're right. But I digress. Anyway,
Let's highlight Joshua Clark's comment for a moment. We have to talk about this. Well played. Well played. What the hell is happening in Djibouti? Djibouti, wrong side. That's what she said.
Nicely done.
That was well done. Well done. But anyway, we'll get back to this. I honestly think he's trying to set himself up as some sort of a Pan-African leader. And to do that, he's got to make his people happy. So,
yeah, I honestly just, without the crypto portion, I do think that Bukele has kind of come up with a new authoritarian model that would work for the 21st century in a lot of ways. Friendly to business, friendly to the poor people, but hell on the kind of the rich, the corruption class that is so rife throughout the rest of the world. So,
but speaking of the corruption class, I want to point out how absolutely cool it is that a man I've met in real life was on Tucker Carlson and did an
Oh yeah.
Congrats to Braxton McCoy. You are fighting the good fight, and please keep it up, brother. Keep it up.
You could officially say that you were on Sean Ryan before it got weird.
Yeah. Well, maybe Braxton broke Sean Ryan, and
it's entirely possible. The hat. It was the hat that did it.
It was the hat, yeah, and just the Western drip, right? Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Sean Ryan got weird after Braxton, and Tucker was a little weird before Braxton. So maybe we're gonna get a reset on Tucker too, because he's been a little on the weird side in recent weeks and months.
Yeah.
Watcher, how you doing, brother?
All right, just perpetually busy, and it's very strange because I keep having new things pop up that are demanding attention. You think you got everything sorted, and then all of a sudden the wife calls and says, hi, is the toilet supposed to be leaking into the basement? It's it's a good time.
That's when you say yes, and you hang up the phone.
So yeah, it's a good time. We're making stuff happen. It's just yeah. The auto water setup though, which means like 80% of chicken chores are now done daily, automatically.
See, who said the robot revolution was going to be terrible? I mean,
it's more the hose revolution, but still.
I know. All right, guys, let's
speaking of the robot revolution, did you see that video of the Chinese doing an attack uphill with the dogs, robot dogs?
No,
I didn't see that.
I'll find it while you chat.
I did see a video of some Englishmen doing an attack uphill.
Oh yeah, we I got that video. Before we talk about that, speaking of the corruption class, I just thought before we get into odds and ends, this was something that's gone viral in the last 24 hours. So you decide to go to a Coldplay concert, and you don't think that that's gonna end your career publicly. Let's just be honest. If you're gonna go and have your side piece, especially when your side piece is one of your kind of other executives at your company, and you get up on the jumbotron, don't act like, just be calm. Don't do anything. Right? Just. Because when you act suspicious, all of a sudden
Everyone
draws attention.
Wants to know why and starts digging. Yes,
I don't know, Scott. I don't think that's something that can be coached. I as many other people have said, I think that if you can't stand for 5 minutes in front of for 5 seconds in front of the jumbotron without freaking out, you're not CEO material.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you've got to be let's be honest. All the best CEOs are sociopaths. So that's what it just kind of proves that this guy wasn't so sociopath material, I guess. He actually has a conscience.
He never served as junior enlisted. That's right. He wasn't even wearing name tapes. Come on, man.
Joe, what do you think about this? I guess there's a thing in India. This is not an odds and end, but this is just me asking you a question here. There's a thing in India about people saying Tibet is not China.
I mean, it's not.
It's not. We all know it's not. I'm just saying. Do you think this is a road India wants to go down as far as a popular culture deal?
Yes, because the cultures are very different and they've always been at odds with each other.
Right.
I think that China is not, or India is not China. I think it's more of a sales thing directed at the West, and it's an attempt to onshore businesses to them. But that doesn't do us any more benefit, right? We're just giving our money to a different place that actually wants to colonize us.
I'm sorry. I have to give you the audio here. Remember, they chose this music.
I don't know what's worse. Is this music worse than the kind of turbo pop that the Ukrainians play?
Nope. I'd take this every day, but
ooh boy, it's definitely a choice.
They destroyed the purpose of those ghillie suits by kneeling and then throwing grenades.
Right. If they just stuck back, and doing their sniping or support by fire role, with the ghillie suits, that probably would have been pretty effective. But they chose.
Oh,
those snipers chose violence, Joe.
So they've got. This is kind of interesting, though.
The machine
developed it. Yeah, well, they developed it. It looks like just a regular, whatever their basic weapon is, and then they stick it in upside down. Which
QZ-97, yeah, so that another guy can grab it, right?
Yeah. I hope it's not firing from that position because
I bet it is
ballistic
because the ejection port is on that side. I mean, ballistic's a thing. I mean, come on, it's just upside down. It's exactly the same as if it was right side up.
No, it's not. Ballistic arc goes up because the barrel is pointed slightly up, and so if you reverse it, that means the barrel is now pointed slightly down.
But you understand. So the barrel is flat. You arc the barrel up, which sends the bullet in a ballistic arch, right?
Yeah. How is this going? Well, okay. I guess it can sight.
Straight.
So if you do
what does it, not the barrel.
Well, I know, but I guess it can sight by different means if it's in a vice like this, I suppose.
And this is the reason why your 100 meter zero and your 25 meter zero, because you get it goes up, it hits 25, and then arcs back down and hits 100, right? And so you have the bullet going through the same sight picture twice because of that arc.
I hate it. I don't like this.
Well, I mean, it's a robot.
There were better ways to do this.
Look at it is, Watcher, a free rifle when you smoke your robot.
Well, yes, exactly. But I just mean there were better ways to do this when you were designing the bot to do this.
Look, even Derna's getting in on the Watcher. This is a perfect example of stuff that I know that you know this, but you haven't exercised that part of your brain maybe in a little bit.
Yeah,
and so you have. It's fine. It's
in quite a long time. No, you're right.
And this is the appropriate amount of face palming we should be doing.
Hold on, though. Is this? No, hold on. This isn't designed to be grabbed. I don't see any. It might just be the video being small, but I don't actually see any trigger mechanisms here.
I think this is
a gun designed.
I'm sure it's there. I think that it's just there for someone else to pick up because that robot would go through that 30-round mag in about 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that I was going to say it would be way better if you put like a saw or some sort of belt fed operation.
But that was kind of my question on why they have the dogs up in front, right? Because if they're just hauling gear, then why are you exposing your gear and your robots to fire unnecessarily?
Because they're robots, not people.
Well, I get you, but like the gear is important, right? So like drop the gear first or something.
And it's not that China's that concerned about their people. You just don't have to expend whole blood and medical people for robots.
I just think. I mean, they're in the offense, Joe. Right? Let's assume you've got let's say a squad size element of U.S. Marines at the top at the military crest of this hill they're going up. I mean,
planning on fighting, but anyway,
this would not be a winning scenario for this. Let's assume this is a platoon size element. This would not be a winning scenario for this platoon size element.
No, coming uphill, no, not even with them.
Well, no. So I've seen U.S. forces attack uphill in the open, and they're very effective. But because they actually use IMT, right? I'm up, he sees me, I'm down, right? You know, this kind of like bunny pop kind of, you know, leap forwards. And the thing that makes it work is when everybody's doing it in concert, nobody's up and down at the same time, and you've got this kind of ever shifting, you know, tableau of targets versus where these guys are.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is interesting. These each have different loads. They're each, like, if you look at the humps on their backs, which is where their equipment's contained, they're each very different.
One's probably got some drone detection capability. One's a radio repeater. One's a weapons carrier. You know, that actually makes sense.
Interesting.
You mean China doesn't deploy the medical Makarov? You know, there's a medical Makarov in each one of their aid bags for.
Well, as long as we're on Chinese videos,
you got my fantastic French joke. I'm very sad.
As long as we're on,
I didn't hear it. I guess I didn't hear it.
Clearly, they're planning on attacking the French because the flag at the top of the hill were white. So
I need to see if there's any way to full screen this.
Anyway,
shoot, I don't think there is. Chinese flamethrower video I got sent.
Imagine the heat signature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
this is interesting. The flamethrower videos.
Why?
Stability.
Yeah, I mean, so this is an old thing that they used to teach a lot back in World War II era, both the German and American forces. Like, for instance, machine gunners used to do this, where you would hold the barrel, like the A gunner would hold the barrel.
Huh.
We actually used to. We don't anymore. This was part of the curriculum at the Scout course to build confidence between a buddy team. One guy would sit on the ground facing the target. The other guy would rest his rifle on their shoulder.
So, that would make sense. Part of a confidence. I was just like, that thing doesn't look like it's got enough kickback to it that you need another guy to brace it.
That would be all right for like a 5.56, but if anything bigger than 7.62, 7.62 and higher, there would be definitely some.
Let me say that based upon the reaction of the various partners I've had over the years, the 7.62 is rather more enthusiastic than the 5.56.
Right. And depending on how long the barrel is too, would definitely make a difference.
Yeah.
Here, let me just bring my Draco.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody in actual combat do this, but I know in training it's been done, in recent years.
It's 82nd. They intentionally jump out of perfectly good airplanes. I mean,
that's true. I mean, they're basically airborne, like Marines from the air. The 82nd.
The Paramarines was a thing in World War II, and the only combat assault they ever did was amphibious and not airborne.
All right. Peter Shade's helicopter tours for $1 says, as the official plumber of future conflict, Watcher, your toilet sounds clogged.
No, the wax seal gave out.
Well, Dara said, no, we jumped out of C-130s, not good airplanes.
the wax seal gave out, and then we got in the flange, and the flange had galvanic corrosion to the point where it couldn't hold the bolts anymore. So then we got to go shop for a special flange protector topper. Yeah, that sucked.
And Peter Shea's helicopter for $2. This dude's future ex-wife is much hotter. It was a Gillette. So if they live in Massachusetts, she should know I'm single, and I think his kid should call me daddy. Yeah, I heard that that CEO's wife changed her name from whatever her first name and his last name to just her first
on social
name
media.
on social media. I was like, oh, it has begun.
Yeah, that's not good.
Matt Grizz, interestingly, I never, ever want to put in a new toilet because this toilet is from like the 1960s, and I think it flushes like 150 gallons every time we flush. It's the best. I love it.
Yeah, well, as long as you have to pay, out the wazoo for water, yeah, that's the way to go. And
On a
haven't
well.
have you heard that that water saver devices are all kind of fading out?
Yeah, they're getting rid of them. Yeah, Trump signed that day when he got into office. It's probably going to take like I think I saw like 12 to 16 months for products without it to come on the market, and they've still got to sell through the backlog of stuff that they have that nobody wants anymore.
When it comes to things like toilets, they're just going to fucking DX those and start importing from out of the country, I think. All right, guys, let's jump into our first odds and ends. The banter is, I want to say that we have started off the show. We're 20 minutes in and we haven't even got to odds and end number one, but the banter has been high quality thus far, I think. So I'm just going to say it. All right, so first up, NATO top commander says Patriots must move from European allies to Kiev as quickly as possible. So, the NAFO bros have got to be like, oh, we're back. We're so back because, Trump has decided that putting pressure on Putin right now is the way to go. And the way you do that is by, essentially getting weapons that have proven to be effective to Ukrainian forces. Now, here's the problem and I was speaking with a veteran patrioteer recently, and he was saying that the problem is that the Ukrainians don't know how to employ patriots as effectively as they could be employed. I was like, say it ain't so. I mean, this is just something we've seen with a lot of.
Well, they listen so well in training too.
Well, yeah. Well, let's be honest. Joe, it's not even about the Patriot kind of crews. The Ukrainian. Those guys probably absolutely listen to training, right? Because those are the lower level. They want to be technically proficient. They see their ability to do their job well as helping their country. I've got no problem with that. You've got no problem with that. Where I think they fuck up by the numbers is at the higher levels where these senior leaders in Ukraine don't have the military education that is needed to properly in place and create a schema of defense in depth with air defense. Now, let's be honest, Ukraine is way better now than they were 3 years ago, but they're also not as well off as they were 3 years ago.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how effective this is going to be. I think this is more of a symbolic effort by Trump. That's my opinion. I don't know how this will fit in, but let's read a little bit of the article and we'll kind of try to figure it out. Let's see. NATO's top military commander, Air Force General Alexis Greenwich, announced Thursday that efforts were underway to expedite the delivery of additional Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. The nightly waves of drone and missile attacks, which, by the way, have you noticed the 700 this night, 700 the next night, 600 the next night after that, 550 after that, 700 again. So, I mean, it's like Russia is like nonstop, just crapping out almost 1,000 drones, missiles, and cruise missiles every night to attack Ukrainian targets. I think Ukraine's starting to understand what real pressure looks like. He says, we're working closely with the Germans on transferring the Patriots. He said in a major defense conference in Wiesbaden, Germany, happening this week. The directive I've received is to act swiftly as possible. He emphasizes that timing and logistics are key concerns in getting systems delivered to Ukraine. As Secretary of State Marco Rubio pointed out, existing systems in Europe can be deployed faster than those coming off production lines. Those new units can then replace the ones sent to Ukraine. So the idea here is that America is basically saying, hey, we will sell you new Patriot gear, but that allows you to give your older Patriot gear to Ukraine right now. And so that's how this whole deal is working. So it's basically give up your old one and we'll give you new ones. Let's see. Last year, controversy was unleashed amongst European allies when NATO command leaned hard on countries like Spain and Greece to give up their Patriot systems for the cause of Ukraine, and Greece immediately blinked, giving it sees itself as under constant threat from Turkey. He also admitted that it is still unclear how many Patriot batteries can be made available. There's more to come. We're moving as fast as we can. President Donald Trump has lately expressed disgust at the record numbers of suicide drones striking Ukrainian cities, while he has not approved long-range offensive weapons for Kiev. He has indicated readiness to ramp up anti-air defense systems. The interesting thing here, I think, Joe, is if you want to figure out, as Putin, right, the one way you can get Trump to throw his weight behind Ukraine is to basically attack his ego by saying, oh, you want us to stop attacking Ukraine? Well, we're going to attack Ukraine even harder. And so then that in Trump's eyes, I think that makes him look bad. And thus he has to kind of, he's that counterpuncher, right? And he can't just say things to hurt Putin's feelings. So he has to actually do things that he thinks will, harm Russia's efforts. So I don't know if you're Putin, this is the right way to get Trump to do what you want.
Right. What's funny is down the road, I've got a neighbor. It's probably 7 or 8 miles down the road, but neighbor nonetheless, who has a giant billboard up in front of their house, a big like chunks of plywood, and it has a Ukraine flag on it. Over the last several weeks, there's been sort of a saga. They'll have the Ukrainian flag, and the next day someone will have splashed it with white paint, and then he'll put up a new Ukrainian flag. And last night when we went to dinner, it says F Ukraine right down it now. So this guy may be fighting a losing battle to try and gain support in Northwest Montana for the Ukrainians.
It's almost like people in Montana aren't down with that whole thing.
Kind of not.
Well, let's be honest. There may be that one like Russia supporter somewhere there locally who's got it in for. I don't know. All right. So anyway, the long and the short of it is the idea here that the flow of Patriots specifically, and probably other weapon system, has been kind of turned back on. Specifically, defensive weapon systems has been turned back on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see more of this. I would be surprised if we saw offensive weaponry going in. I know there's probably a lot of people within the administration pushing for that because there are still some Russia hawks in the administration, just not the overt neocons. Rubio has in the past has proven himself to be a little bit of a Russia hawk, but here lately he hasn't seemed to be going that route with his policy stuff. So I don't know exactly what we'll see out of this. If you've been a longtime viewer of this show, you know our position. We think the best way to it's going to hurt Ukraine in the near term, but the best way to stop the killing is to cut off Ukraine so that Russia can basically take the land that they think that they're owed, and then they can get to some sort of détente. But I don't know. The longer this thing goes, the uglier it gets. All right. Let's.
Speaking of things that the longer they go, the uglier you take it.
Yeah. So if you've been paying any attention to migrant violence in America, Europe, and specifically England, for a long time there's been basically this whole kind of, we can't do anything, especially in Europe. Like, we have to be supportive of these people. We have to let these people who hate us come into our country and do whatever they want. Well, in England, you're definitely starting to see some minority of people are starting to get fed up with this. And so what we have here is video. This is from Highbury and Ilsingen Tube Station. I guess this is London. These guys are fed up. So basically what happened is this immigrant guy punches a man who's holding a baby. That's the baby right there on the ground. And basically the Londoners got sick of it. So you can see the offender right there in the middle. He's the black guy, African immigrant.
I like the mix of responders here. You've got two obvious businessmen, one suit and tie and loafers, the other in a sports jacket. You've got a couple of working class men. The traditional woman screaming, that's a necessity at every one of these instances. There must be at least one woman screaming.
I assume one of these guys is the man who was carrying the baby.
Yeah.
Low-key LARP, thank you very much. Gifted 5 subs to Future Conflict. I see that all this white text in the chat has triggered your ADHD, or your OCD. So I appreciate that. You cleaning that up. And by the way, Low-key LARP, I am not unaware. It's Kaiser John gifted 5 subs in the beginning of the show before we went live. So thank you guys for contributing to the show. See Westby. Yeah. You're exactly right. You make me drop my daughter and you die. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Factual.
Joe, you want to address Derna's comment here? I think this is something that people need to be aware of. In urban environments, anything can become a weapon.
It sure can, like a tactical pen like this. Just a pen. Right in the rain pens are made of steel. I have one on my desk right here. The Zebra F702. Right here. Fantastic pen. You can carry this on an airplane. And it's solid steel, and it's a great weapon. Just don't buy the one that says a Zebra tactical pen because it's plastic. But this Zebra F702 is a great little pen for just that purpose. 100% right.
Now, Squishy Hunter, I agree with you. Like, I agree that nothing bad should happen to these men. The problem is a lot of time these women are not they are not responding from the don't hurt him standpoint. They're responding from the standpoint of let somebody else handle it, because if you get arrested, what do I do? And so there is a personal security, personal kind of impact, but ultimately the man who decides to beat the other man who attacked the child is in the right. You should act, and if let the chips fall where they may. This is the way we lose societies, for moral men to do nothing.
Joshua Clark points out that Vigilante Engineering makes a nice Sharpie too. They make them both that look like Sharpies and that look like the Milwaukee job site Sharpie. And this is really, really nice. And it's got a carbide tip. Looks just like a regular Sharpie. But it's not. It hurts.
Yeah, it doesn't. But it does not write. Is that correct?
It does not write. Rights and Blood. And be prepared, it's the F702.
Oh, very good.
I'm sorry, it says 701 right on the pen. Sorry, F701.
Guys, anything else about, when you're just in public and you see something like this happen, Joe, specifically, I'd like your kind of input on this, but Watcher, anything you've got on it, I'd love to hear as well. What do you guys think about, like, when you see people behaving badly, and then what's our obligation, right? Like, what do you think here?
I guide my actions by James 4:17. If a man knows the good he ought to do and does not do it, it will count as sin for him. You're also commanded to protect the weak and to defend the helpless. And a woman carrying a child is essentially helpless. So
Yeah.
Our obligation is to do that. I know everyone will tell me, oh, no, but you might get arrested. I don't live my life in fear of what the government might do to me. I do what is right because I answer to a higher power. And as Peter famously said in front of the court, we must obey God rather than the laws of men. So that's kind of how I do it. By the way, this zebra pen takes right in the rain refills. That's a good plus. Anyway.
But just more from a practical standpoint, it's different than when you're in a crowd of other people versus like you're by yourself and there's maybe 3 or 4 of the people misbehaving. You have to approach it differently, right? Like, because you have to think about like your ability to actually affect, like if you have 4 people, it's one guy versus 4. But, if you're in a group of 10 people, then it's probably much easier to get, the majority on your side to
I
do the
go
right
with
thing.
the Jack Reacher theory on that. You don't have to fight 3. You have to fight 2. You knock the first one out, then you hit the second one. The other 2 are going to suddenly decide they have an urgent appointment elsewhere. But
that's a great point. I mean, a lot of times bullies are not expecting a physical response.
That's almost like that's why they do it. What's the ultimate goal of a criminal at the end of the day? It's not to inflict harm and steal. It is to make it away safely without being arrested. And if you arrested or injured, if you raise the risk of either of those 2 things, they will flee.
Yeah, that's a good point. Watcher, any thoughts on this?
No.
I know as somebody with little kids, this is the kind of thing that's probably on your mind a lot as well.
Yeah. My thoughts fall along the lines of stay strapped or get clapped. I understand that you're in England, but maybe, I don't know. I'm just going to say if I lived in a nation where I wasn't able to arm myself, I would make other choices very quickly.
And by the way, if you intervene in defense of yourself or someone else, you're absolutely not required to remain at the scene for any reason. Take from that what you will.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing too. I mean, I don't disagree with you, Watcher. I mean, you may not be able to have a gun, but there's, like we were just talking about with these pins, there are a lot of alternatives out there.
And honestly, if we come back, he may have already taken that advice at some point because we do see. So this is. Oh, never mind. That's a different gentleman. Whoever this is right here does have something in hand that then goes into
back in his pocket.
A little holster for it there.
And then he decides to cover it up.
And then he probably promptly got the hell out of the area before the bobbies showed up.
Good idea.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, we even saw this in Texas. I don't know, what was it, 4, maybe 5 years ago, where the guy shot someone in the diner who was robbing the diner, and then he got up and left. And even when he was tracked down by the police, he wasn't charged because you're not required to remain at the scene.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. I was looking through my X feed, searching for the Druze and I just found what happened to the guys in our thumbnail. In the next scene of the movie. So I will share that with you in the
formed
private
a
chat
boy
here.
band.
Oh no! Evidently, you just look at the link that I just showed the private chat. We'll show it later in the show, in that portion of the show. But anyway,
Sure.
all right, let's move on to the last of our odds and ends here. Despite the banter, Joe, we've gotten through the odds and ends at a fairly decent clip here. It's only 40 minutes in. Now,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that is good, Scott. It looked like a deer on the hood. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. So this next one is one of the things that we talk about. One of the things we talk about is community security, and I just want to point out to do a shout out to our friend K9 Reaper, who pointed this one out to a lot of us. So this is a ex post from Protector at Book Protectors introducing Patrol. Homeowners in LA can now book off-duty police officers to help protect their homes. Now available in Brentwood, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Homely Hill, and Malibu. These are areas where people have a lot of money.
Ironically, it's not offered in South Central. Weird.
Oh, weird.
Shocking. Let's go ahead and play the commercial. Video, informational video.
Doesn't mean your home has to be unprotected. Maybe the kids just got home from school and you're stuck in traffic. Or maybe you're about to travel halfway across the country, finally taking that vacation. Or it's just another quiet night and you'd rather sleep knowing someone's looking out for you. When you book a private patrol, you're getting more than just presence. You're getting protection from trained off-duty officers. You might not always be home, but with Patrol, someone is.
By the way, remember to re-up your. Oh goddamn! Why can I not think? This is so cyberpunk. You need to make sure that you've also got your
trauma team. You've got your trauma team platinum updated, and so this is very cyberpunk, where you basically have the rent-a-cops. It's Joe. How quickly before we see entire sections of urban areas essentially giving their police over to these kind of deputized private companies?
Gene Rogers points out that I predicted this like 3 years ago.
And
that's absolutely true. I think that we're already seeing it now. In the city of Detroit for the last 5 years, they've had a law called verified response, which says that the police don't respond to burglar alarms unless an armed security agency has already gone and verified that there is indeed a burglary. So we're already seeing it. We're seeing in Metro Detroit when delivery trucks show up at food stores and convenience stores and gas stations, an armed security element meets them there and stands by while they unload so that they can. And you're going to just see that continue and expand to where things only move by convoy and all of that. But I'd like to point out, though, that home patrol security services by off-duty police officers have existed for as long as there have been police officers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could always contract with somebody to do this. So it just is getting more well-armed and more tactically oriented, I guess.
Yeah. I would also say it was also more of a rarity now, whereas now it's such a commodity that they're forming companies and advertising.
Okay, yeah. So Diane, I just want to
cost a lot more than a traditional security company, by the way. So
I just want to point out in the chat, Diatica's nerd down the rabbit hole in real time. So that she says would fit nice with Cyberpunk 2077, just like we were talking about, right? And then she goes to NCPD off duty. Well, that stands for Night City Police Department off duty, yep. Which is exactly what this would be in that universe. And then she goes way off the edge. You know how it's like, yeah, you go down a little bit and then all of a sudden, right? That's her going down the rabbit hole here saying, or you could stop by the Afterlife and ask Rogue to find you a merc to take care of your business. Yeah, Diatica, I get the entire reference. I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. That being said, you lost the chat with this one probably. But I did like CLM's OCP time. Yeah, if you want another video game that is related to this, I would say RoboCop Rogue City. One of my
OCP was way before the game. I mean,
I know. No, that's the movie, right? But I'm just saying, we're talking games here. But Joe, you know what, Joe? I think you would like that RoboCop game. It is such a throwback to it really is it really captures the world of that movie. This 80s kind of like cyberpunk 80s kind of thing. It's pretty good.
You assume that I would enjoy any video game.
I know. It is an interactive thing. I know.
Yes, Squishy Hunter. If only there was somebody with tactics and wisdom to teach a community security course. Oh man.
Yeah, it would just be cheaper to have your local community operate together for security. If only there was somebody with tactical wisdom. Yeah. Well, but here's the thing, right? Here's the problem with good regular people. If you have a lot of them around you, then you're good, because ultimately 24 people, if they're all available for an hour, potentially, you always got somebody watching your back. But the problem is that guys like us have other things to do, right? And it's not until we're really under threat that we band together to take care of these kind of problems. But that's the problem, is it's got to get really bad.
Shelby raised an interesting point the other day. Create your own search and rescue crew. And everyone, when we both mentioned that, everyone kept saying, no, just join CERT, just join CERT. No. CERT requires some sort of governmental control. Forming your own search and rescue crew as volunteers means that you'll still get included when you go there, as long as you have the right training. And that establishes you in the area as a force for good. And we talk a lot about that in the community security apps class.
Back in the day when preppers were way more paranoid than they are nowadays. I mean, it's not to say that they aren't paranoid. I'm just saying back in the day, like the government used to actively be working against preppers. A wise man once said that CERT, going and getting CERT, basically allows the government to find out who all the preppers are in the community and make a list.
Right, back in the day, you mean like yesterday? That was the day.
Yeah, well, I won't, Josh. I won't say the thought didn't cross my mind, but since you brought it up, I'm just from fire departments to gladiators and security.
We're 48 minutes in, and we're still on the odds and ends. So no.
Well, now, Joe, you got to admit, we normally hit about 55 minutes for the odds and ends, so we still have like 7 minutes to go. And since we are at the end of our odds and ends, let's just turn it over to Joe to talk a little tactical wisdom. I mean, Joe, we've got. Do you want to show the flyer?
Let's show the flyer, Watcher.
Or did Watcher basically abandon us mid-show?
No, sorry, I was muted.
He's hard at work behind the scenes. Pay no attention to the man behind the counter. We got a flyer from the people at Shield Arms for Shield Field Days. It says, join us for 3 days of hands-on learning, outdoor community, and skill set development. Whether you're a seasoned outdoorsman or just starting your preparedness journey, there's something here for you. Family friendly and open to the public. Training seminars, guest speakers, outdoor vendors, food trucks, preparedness and survival demos, and community connection. And it's got a list of a bunch of our vendors there. And if you scroll to the next page, there's a tentative schedule I've prepared. It talks about all the different topics we're going to have out here. I'm going to talk about why self-sufficiency is important. We got all kinds of classes and training sessions and all that going on. In fact, if you get there a day early, Project 223 Preparedness and I will be kicking it off with a first aid class over in the dining hall. We kind of hashed out the plan. It's going to be mostly hands-on. We're going to do some skill development on packing wounds, packaging a patient for transport, and all that kind of stuff, and getting them taken care of. So going to be a really cool class. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And we're going to spend the 25th to the 27th, those 3 days, just talking about community and outdoor stuff. Going to be awesome. Come and meet guys like Exumbris Designs, Vigilante Engineering, Mountain Pass Safe, who has some pretty cool non-lethal firearms that he's going to sell. Brent from Project 223. Mexican Iron Man will be there He doesn't know it yet, but I think I'm going to have him talk about why big booty Latinas can stay. This is what he gets for not making it into the chat today. I commit him to things.
Legitimately, Joe, you should get him to do like a little 30-minute talk about pop culture, because that guy has legitimately spent a lot of hours on YouTube talking about like conservative culture.
What does that have to do with Shield Field Days, though?
Well, it's conservative culture,
Anyway, Saturday night there will be a live Future Conflict show featuring at least me and Watcher. Hopefully Scott can make it. It'll be a really, really good time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and we're gonna do some cool stuff. We're gonna have a contest though, where we decide who is the more freakishly large man between your Arctic boy and Watcher, and who is the freakishly tall? Who is the tallest of the freakishly tall? So it'll be a good time. And Natalie points out that the burger food truck, the Shield Arms food truck, is amazing. They make great food. They finally mastered biscuits and gravy, so that's pretty darn good. And I'm gonna have a couple other food trucks out here, so we're gonna have a good time. A lot of good stuff going on. Please join us.
This is going to be a great time. It was awesome last year. I won't be able to be at this one, but I'll be there in spirit. It's the show will definitely be it'll be interesting. I'm sure Joe will probably pick up a panel member or two the day of. They don't know it yet, but they will be on the panel. If it's anything like last year, there will be an array of bourbons set up on the table. Just no cartwheeling morons this year. That's unfortunately.
Yeah. There's only one that I can remember, and
that's right.
Scott or something.
Well, it was me and a 7-year-old girl. So I mean,
Well, and we'll see if we have any uninvited guests who attempt to force their way onto our show, which was interesting. Scott was like, "That's not really how that works." But anyway, it'll be really fun. A live studio audience and taking questions and doing all that like we did. I see there are some questions about anyone going to be at Mountain Readiness in October. This guy will be at Mountain Readiness in October, followed by my Fieldcraft class, like literally the day after, and then Scout and Recce. So it'll be a great 2 weeks in North Carolina. Come on out and be there. I just unintentionally tested NC Scout's new pistol sight by dropping it all the way to the floor. Still works, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what? Little Cubby asked, will we get to see Watcher's face, though? Watcher, I think you should literally just wear a mask the whole time, just for fun.
I've got a good one.
Can I just say something that I completely forgot to do the brush beater ad?
Buy something for brush beater. There you go. Done.
Oh, you know what? I got an alternative because with CSC 10 you get a 5% discount, but we have something I noticed on Matt's. Hold on a second. NC Scout. I'm going to drop the link here in the private chat. Watcher. So right there, put that up on the screen here. It's a communications flash sale, 10% off all commo equipment through Sunday at midnight. So 10% is no joke. His prices are already better than just about any place you can get the same gear. So consider giving NC Scout your business 10% on this. I don't think that with this being a higher discount, I don't think our 5% stacks on it. But if it does, great. If it doesn't, well, you can get 5% off anything that's non-communication related with code CFC10 in the chat.
Rumor has it there's going to be a night vision sale to clear the way for some brush beater branded night vision.
Oh, very cool.
So that's going to be cool. And, seeing that branding right there, the new branding for Brush Beater Store, the creator of that, Haley Shane, will be here at the camp in just a couple of days, and she'll be here throughout the Shield Field Days. So a lot of cool Twitter personalities to come and meet and hang out with. Join us. And then go read my new article while you're at it. Good stuff.
All right. Let's jump into the main topic for today. So, guys, this is looking pretty rough. Essentially, the Israelis, if you remember the show on Wednesday, basically, the Israelis responded to the government forces, the HTS government forces that were attacking the Druze on behalf of the Bedouins, who the Druze and the Bedouins were getting to a local tete-a-tete. And so HTS jumped in on the side of the Bedouins and started attacking the Druze. And there was a massacre in this town of Shweba. And Israel said no and blew up their Pentagon for it. And within a couple hours, you had essentially a ceasefire, if you will, or a commitment by the government to, hey, we're going to pull our forces back, and kind of a de-escalation, which would have made sense. But the problem is Jelani is not in control of his country. He is just this guy who has set himself up and said, I'm going to be the president. Now, he has either said on like talk on one side of his mouth, oh yeah, we're going to pull our people back, and then on the other side, he goes to his people and say, go ahead and make it happen, take out the Druze, because essentially what you've had happen since then is everybody on the radical Islamic spectrum and their brothers in Syria have basically said, we're going in, we're going to basically wipe the Druze out. This is a Al Jazeera article. Israel kills 30 in Gaza, clashes. What? They fucking changed. I love it. Yeah, here we go. This is 302. If you go down, this is one of those kind of things that updates, and so it's a rolling thing. 321 killed in Sweden. Violence, says monitoring group. Syrian Network for Human Rights, a group that documents human rights violations, have said that 321 people were been killed in the sectarian violence around the southern Syrian city of Sweden since Sunday. The toll of, including children, 6 children, 9 women, medical personnel, and other civilian casualties, as well as armed Bedouin and Druze fighters and government security forces. It said that at least 436 people have been injured in the violence around the Druze majority city. As we reported earlier, a Syrian minister said the government has recovered 87 bodies from Sweden, but he did not indicate whether that represented an entire total. And then let's see. Hundreds of families evacuated from Sweden, says government minister. The Syrian government minister says hundreds of families have been evacuated, and these are all going to be Bedouin families because this is a government, Syrian government operation.
Someone asked me on Twitter if the Bedouins are good fighters, and I thought that showed an incredible lack of appreciation for history.
Your response was, have you ever seen Lawrence of Arabia? So essentially,
Yes.
if you didn't know, the Brits weaponized the nomadic Bedouins in World War I to fight back against the
Turks,
the Ottoman Turks. Yep. And so they are definitely decent fighters. All right, so from 3 hours ago, there's 2 kind of things on this thread here, and I'm going to read each of them, and they're basically 2 different capsule articles on this Al Jazeera website. So, Israeli intervention, a challenge to Syrian government. So many Syrians who you speak to are concerned about Israel's intervention in the situation in Sweden. The threats it poses to national unity and the government's efforts to extend the authority across the country. The irony is, Joe, is that if anything potentially could unify disparate factions within at least the Sunni Muslim region of Syria, it would be, fighting against the Israelis. But still, there's no unifying Syria. It's just not happening. Israel's calling the shots in many ways. Just 2 days ago, it blew up the Syrian Defense Ministry, and it's been targeting government forces across southern Syria and ordered Syrian government to withdraw its forces from the south, or it would face further attacks. There's a concern that Israel's actions, which it claims are on the behalf of the Sueda's Druze community, will affect two of the key challenges facing Syria's new government, extending its authority across the country and reaching out to Syrian minorities, whether Druze, Alawite, or Kurds. Let me just tell you, buddy, that ship has sailed. They are not reaching out to anybody that I can see other than to kill them or to cow them into some sort of subjugation. They've been trying to rebuild a nation, a country with deep-seated animosities after 14 years of war and decades of al-Assad rule, which pitted communities against each other. There are concerns about the possibility of division. No shit. Concerns about possibilities of division. Say it ain't so. Including the Syrian president himself blame Israel now trying to sow it. And then here's a related story. So why is Israel allowing Syrian security forces to enter Sweden? And this kind of bridges us into the video we're going to watch through various X posts. A Syrian podcast analyst says Israel has agreed to allow local security forces to enter Sweden for 48 hours to prevent more violence between the Bedouins and the Druze. I'll be honest with you. If the Israelis let HTS occupy that city, you're going to see a massacre of the Druze, the likes of which the Druze have never seen. And tribes are expected to join the fighting in the south following the abuses there. After the Israeli strikes against Damascus and other areas in the South Syria, the militants of Sheikh Hikmat al-Hajar, the main Druze spiritual leader, took control of Shweda, but they committed a big mistake of committing crimes and violations against the Bedouin tribes and families. So that's interesting. I have seen some evidence of that. But this is the problem in these sectarian areas, Joe. It's like there's a lot of long-running feuds, and people are using this as an opportunity to count coup and to basically even the scores that have been piling up for years.
Yeah, and that's what we saw in the lawlessness in Baghdad that followed the fall of the Saddam regime, right? Decades and 100-year-old feuds came up, and everyone decided to report each other as an insurgent to the U.S. government. So, all these ethnic strife and all these different things are now free. The gloves are off. And they know that HTS is going to allow them to do whatever they want. So the Bedouins are rising up on there. If you want another good movie, aside from Lawrence of Arabia, about the Bedouins and their fighting ability, Lion of the Desert is a World War II film featuring Anthony Quinn as Omar Mukhtar. It's a really good movie, factually based about how the Bedouins kicked the teeth in of the Italian war machine. So,
if I remember correctly, Anthony Quinn was a Bedouin in Lawrence of Arabia too, wasn't he?
Yes.
All right, going back to this write-up. In a traditional kind of practice within the tribes, which are very important in the social structure of Syria, Bedouins in the southern part of Syria called for the assistance of other Syrian tribes. He said, adding that in the past 24 hours saw an outpouring of forces coming from all over the country to fight in al-Hajar's forces. So at the moment, Israel's game is not going in the direction they wanted. Their allies are under threat and they need to intervene. And the middle ground solution is to allow in security forces, not the army, security forces for a limited period of time to prevent clashes between the Bedouins and the Druze. And so, this is the test of Jelani, right? Joe, we've been very skeptical of this guy, as we should. That being said, people who are traditionally way smarter about this than we are have said, listen, give the guy a chance, blah, 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 and even Donald Trump has basically said, listen, if you do the right thing, we'll give you Western backing and all this kind of stuff. So this is a test.
I said that being skeptical is very charitable.
You're right. I just because people say this doesn't mean I agree with it. I think the guy is corrupt, and I think him acting like a moderate is essentially corruption, right? That's his desire to grab money and power and fame or whatever it is that motivates that guy. So anyway, let's move on now to the some of the video of what we're seeing. Oh yeah. This next one here is a video about the kind of Israel's plan to break up Syria, which I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I disagree with this, but I haven't seen a lot of evidence of it. So let's see what these guys have to say.
What Israel is
Joe, I'll turn to you for
from the Golan Heights, they would capture in Al-Qunaytira, they would open with Sweda. I don't know how practical is this to open a joint Druze with the Kurdish side corridor here, but since the Americans are stationed here in Al-Taf border crossing, you would ask yourself the question, why were they stationed there for quite a long time? This could be the reason. And then Damascus and the north are all demilitarized zone, and then you have some sort of a caliphate there. The Alawites would be in the coastal side, probably with the Christians, and then you have a big Kurdistan. This is the end of Syria. I'm being very pessimistic when I see all these developments and what Israel is doing and capable of doing, and they will do it in the near future. This is a bigger defeat for Syria than the Six-Day War in 1967. Syria is being completely torn apart. For me, this is a strategic defeat for Syria.
This is a radical change in the borders and the geographical makeup of the region, and I really am sad to say that if it's broken up, the likelihood of Syria ever being reunited or united under a single flag is going to be something very difficult.
It will take decades. It will take decades.
Yeah,
sure.
if at all. We see a new military corridors and paths have been cut through Syria, and with the target being Iran, and it's just hard to avoid that conclusion when you're looking at some of the maps. And it's really down to a question of money, and how much you can pay small, disparate ethnic groups and religious demographics and small interest groups. You can pay them, if you can break up the country, pay them all off. They did this to Ethiopia. Look at the Horn of Africa, how it's changed in the last 20 years. They partitioned Sudan. They've added Eritrea, Djibouti. They're working on Somalia, partitioning or breaking up Somalia into 2 or 3 countries. And so it completely transformed. So all the big, strong African nation states are smaller, dysfunctional, infighting ridden, and Libya.
Hold up. I'm sorry.
Right there. The big, strong African countries.
Whoa. Which big, strong African nation states were we talking about? Oh, the ones that we've been saying for at least 50 years were broken up by European interests into various large agglomerations that had many enemies within their borders, thus to keep them complacent and unable to actually do anything. So now it's a problem.
Yeah, what's interesting is that these guys have an interesting point of view, and it's not one that's completely disagrees with us, but it comes from a different motivating principle, right? They either are pan-Arabists or they are Marxists, because essentially you had 3 groups that like these kind of big, broad brushstroke countries. And those are pan-Arabists because they basically saw, hey, we're all Arabs, so let's just all kind of let's concentrate our power, right? And then you had the Marxists who like dealing with, getting away from tribal and religious kind of factions and dealing with national groups, right? And then you had the British, essentially, who are the ones that drew all the lines in the Middle East following World War I and the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. And so, Joe, go ahead. I'll turn it over to you now. I mean, they're not wrong, but at the same time, I don't know that I agree with their rationale.
Well, anyone who believes Eritrea has been added to anything has no appreciation of history. Sure, it was part of Somaliland pre-World War I.
Right.
But Eritrea has existed for a very long time, as has Djibouti. And chat, you did not disappoint when Djibouti appeared in the wild.
Yes.
Omega Lloyd, who said, added Djibouti, how? Squats? I mean, that was actually very, very good and well thought out. And who partitioned Sudan? Because he said they. The Sudanese partitioned Sudan. No one else.
Yes. Yeah, the Southern Sudan. By the way, Janine Rogers, no, it'll be.
I'm sure they implied that them Jews did it, but
it'll be Somaliapolis is where I think is what the new name will be, or Somali Soda.
They actually have a large, I don't know, 25, 26-story apartment building that they call Mogadishu in the Sky in St. Paul. So right across the river from Minneapolis.
Council member Blaine Pardo has been in the chat for a little while. Thank you, Blaine, for joining us, even if only from the chat. He says Israel's been reshaped the Middle East in the last 2 years. Is it for the better? Syria and Iran being hamstrung can't be all bad. You're right, and so I think this is where I think guys like us tend to disagree with guys like those guys in that we don't think Syria getting broken up under is a bad idea at all. If anything, the people who are most deserving of their own homeland within the Middle East are the Kurds. And if they can break off a section of Syria and are able to hold it without the Turkish influence, then that would be, I think, a positive development. And let's be honest, Joe, the PKK disarming actually takes a weapon away from Turkey to be able to go into Iraq and Syria.
It does, but that which they ascribe to a larger they, which in this context of the two people speaking, obviously implies the Jews. The Sudanese divided themselves into two different regions because of exactly what we just talked about. The Arabs in the north and the sub-Saharan Africans in the south. Two different peoples, two different tribes. They've never got along. So forcing them unnaturally to remain as one wasn't going to work. We're seeing these same conflicts playing out throughout the Sahel with Tuaregs in various countries fighting against the more Central African people who run the countries, right? Tuaregs are nomadic tribes that are very closely aligned with the Bedouin, and they're more Arab than African. Eritrea and Somalia are currently fighting a border skirmish. I'm sorry, Eritrea and Ethiopia are fighting a border skirmish over lands that have traditionally belonged to one but are now included in the other because of the tribal things that are going on. These are self-divisions. They're not things imposed upon them by others. They're traditional divisions that existed before colonial powers redrew maps, right?
Yeah.
So
what we've got here is a series of kind of ex posts where essentially what's happening in that village over the last day or so is being. So here we've got terrorists are burning Druze homes in the village of Mazara. Many more convoys are on their way to Shweda. So we've got, nothing should shock you that you'll see here. This is all very, very late stage breakup of Syria. Joe, this is the kind of stuff, I hate to say it, man, but this is the kind of stuff I could easily see happening in America with, especially in the areas bordering larger cities where you've got overlapping, basically defense groups and, urban gangs and, Antifa types and whatnot overlapping.
Unpopular opinion, but what are urban gangs but local self-defense groups?
Well, it's all about motivation, right? If you are willing to prey on the people within your neighborhood, you are different than somebody who is willing to defend the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but most began as defending their local neighborhood while preying on another.
Yeah,
neighbors. So.
Yeah. The mafia is a perfect example of that. They, for the most part, stood by the Italian American populations while preying on the Irish and other ethnic groups, but then eventually turned on their own people.
Henry Hill said it best: "We're like cops for wise guys." So,
Yeah.
Henry Hill said it best: "We're like cops for wise guys." So, yeah, Henry Hill said it best: "We're like cops for wise guys." So, Henry Hill said it best: "We're like cops for wise guys." So, Henry Hill said it best: "We're like cops for wise guys." So,
All right. Let's see. Moving. So, yeah, I mean, when you see a lot of the Bedouin guys look like these two guys in the center that I've seen from some of the organized Bedouin announcements. Much more traditional dress.
That's because they spend a lot more time out in the desert.
In the desert, that's exactly right. And it's almost like their clothing works where they live. Shocking.
Weird. Wild.
All right, and actually, the next video gives guys who look like it could literally be these two dudes right here. So let's go ahead to this one. This is a Syrian Council of Bedouin Tribes and Clans declares a general mobilization throughout the country against Sueda in response to what is described as crimes and ethnic cleansing against our people with the help of the Jews. Now, the downside for Israel here is when their allies, the Druze, get ahead of their skis and start essentially doing bad things to who they might argue are bad people. That's when other people get pissed off and you start having a legitimate back and forth civil war. This is no longer the oppressed Druze fighting back against the HTS oppressors. This is how these kind of things get so conflicted and sticky very quickly.
Yeah. And how do you give someone like the Bedouins their own homeland? They're nomads who travel North Africa and the Middle East. So,
yeah. The problem with the Kurdish homeland is there's no land they will not claim for it. Well, the problem is the land they do claim is in other countries, essentially, and those countries have basically told them to pound sand. Now, my experience personally in Syria, I was really surprised to find the Kurdish majority regions were very integrated. Like there were a lot of Arabs, there were a lot of just kind of like the people you find in Syria were all jammed up in there. So like one of the militia leaders that I had a pretty good conversation with up there, he was an Arab, right? And his deputy was a Christian, a Syrian Christian. And I was like, oh, well, I thought you guys were mostly Kurdish. He goes, no. Well, it's like in the Manbij area, there were a lot of different kind of allied groups that worked together, and the Kurds were the largest single group. And so ultimately, they all were just standing at that point against the al-Assad regime. But at the time, they were getting more pressure from Turkey. So they were like, well, maybe al-Assad's not so bad. Him and his Russian allies aren't so bad. And I told the guy, I was like, listen, I'm not giving you American policy, but if I were in your shoes, I would go and make friends with the Russians and the Syrian government forces down there, because they were basically, the Syrians were the people shooting at them the least. They had just dealt with ISIS, and they were now dealing with Turkey at that point. All right, let's move on. Let's see. We got this. Oh, this is Vicegrad post. This is very emblematic of a lot of the things that we're seeing here. So the internet. So Vicegrad says, breaking: the internet is overflowing with videos of Bedouin tribal fighters and other Sunni militias putting armed men on large trucks and buses and heading to Druze areas in southern Syria. Despite Israel's airstrikes against Syrian forces, a potential civil war is brewing. Yeah, 100% it's brewing. And it will essentially...
You pointed this out yesterday. Brewing, it never ended. It's been going on anyway.
Yeah. This is just a it's being re-energized with new people who weren't motivated last week to be part of it. You know what I mean? And, like let's be honest. The Bedouins are, for the most part, like, oh, HTS guys are in charge. They're Sunni Muslims. We're Sunni Muslims.
Doesn't really impact my life. Yeah.
Don't bother me. No big deal. Now the Druze start killing Bedouins down in southern Syria. All of a sudden, I'm getting motivated. And so you had people who were on the sidelines last week are now motivated to fight. So this is how civil wars basically. It's Joe. It's the snowball going down the hill. Was it going down the hill?
Getting paid to help eliminate a problem. What?
Jelani's like, what? This is not me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I got a new suit yesterday.
Yeah, I got a new suit. I shaved. I didn't do it. I certainly didn't give the Bedouins a whole stack of money and say, "Go do my thing for me."
And a lot of weapons and a couple truckloads of AKs. Now, if I'm honest, I'm seeing a lot of pickup trucks and AKs. So here's another post of a group of. Now, if I remember correctly, so this one's an interesting. This is the Eastern Voices. So everybody is kind of motivated to show what they want to kind of preach, right? And so this is a long line of fighters, right, in SUVs and pickup trucks. But listen to what they say. Thousands of Jilani's jihadists from al-Nusra, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, along with foreign mercenaries, are on their way to Shweda to kill the Druze, dressed in civilian clothes, pretending to be Arab tribes so Jilani can wash his hands off of it. Israel must strike this conflict. Now, I tend to believe that most of the fighters involved in this mass mobilization are Bedouins that are basically being abetted by the HTS folks. But that being said, when Israel said earlier in the thing, we saw Israel's letting the security forces come in to kind of separate the Bedouins from the Druze. Guess who the security forces are?
The Bedouins.
Al-Nusra and HTS.
Oh yeah, Al-Nusra, yeah. Al-Nusra Front, the new name of Al-Qaeda, so they could get U.S. government funding.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be. And so, and the other thing too is you're going to see old video popping up that things that were other places. So be aware of that.
Guys carry their rifle by the magazine. That's tactical right there.
I won't say that I've never
Look at that
done
guy
that.
right there in the front. He's carrying it upside down by the magazine.
Oh, I've never done that. Yeah. Syrian tribes advanced near Sweden. Now these guys look more like HTS fighters than because they've got the uniforms. So this is kind of like the boy band that we had on our thumbnail today. Watcher, can you show the thumbnail again? By the way, 666 viewers. So please, somebody new come in. We're going to need to get rid of that number there. All right. So we've got these, security forces, HTS guys that were basically, sent to bring order to the situation. Now, Watcher, this is the before. Now, Watcher, show the video of the after with the Druze militias, showing. So this is what happened to those guys after their debut. So if you want to pause on one of these where pause there. So what they've done is they've blurred out the the HTS guys that they've strung up over the hoods of their trucks. Now, if you want to know what pisses people off, it's killing their kinsmen and then displaying their bodies in public. Now, this may seem terrible to us, but it's pretty normal in the Middle East. And so this is when you ally with any group or align with any group in the Middle East, this is what you're going to get. And this is what the Druze are providing. And I bet Israel is not happy that their Druze allies are basically out there parading the dead bodies of Syrian security forces. This is one of those things, Joe. I feel like we're showing the before, and then on Monday, we're going to talk about the after.
It's carrying them around like a deer on the hood of the car. These people are not exactly what I would call humane.
Well, in fairness, the Druze did, if you and I experienced the massacre of hundreds of our kinsmen, we may not be very humane to our enemies either. Though I don't think that we would do this.
Yeah, I could be a hellish warrior and not drag around a dead body on the hood of my car.
Yeah, right. There are certain things I think even pissed off we wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Derna, is there a leader, a bodybuilder wearing a hockey mask? Yeah, there's very Mad Max vibes going on in southern Syria right now. Yeah, you know what's interesting, Joe? This is literally what Mad Max would look like, right? In reality, like it would look like southern Syria right now. Well, it would look like Syria for the last 15 years. Anything else, guys, we want to touch on with this Druze conflict. Like I said, I think this is the shot, and the chaser is going to be our discussion on Monday about how cluster bombs rain down from Israeli warplanes on these Bedouin fighters.
I think that the mistake that the Druze made was openly accepting Israeli help. That put them on the chopping block, and not that they weren't already, but they've now made it way worse. And yeah, oh gee, now Israel's going to have to take and hold some more territory. Oh no.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that those guys who are analyzing the situation, I think they might be right on, is if you look at the American forces at Atnaf, which is further down the Syrian border in the southern part of the country, that's basically a giant geographic region that the American forces and their Syrian allies have carved out of that chunk. If you basically draw a line from there all the way down to this area where the Druze are, that is essentially an area that probably Israel could help secure with local militia allies. And Caravaggio, you may not be wrong. Unfortunately, Israel will have to occupy Syrian territory now. Like I said, it's going to get a lot. It's going to get a lot hairier before it settles down.
It's going to get nasty. Yeah.
Speaking of getting nasty, Joe.
Yes.
The liberals in America. Can we talk about the liberals in America? I mean, before we do, I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. So maybe this is where we break away from YouTube. If you're watching the show on YouTube, I'm looking at you, Josh Clark. I'm looking at you, Caravaggio. If you guys are watching the show on YouTube, now will be the time to jump over to Rumble, because we're gonna cut it here. We're going to transition the topic of my original title was Killer Liberals or Liberal Killers. And we're going to jump in to that topic. So, Joe, any final words for the YouTube folks?
No. Just to get on Rumble and stay on Rumble, and you won't have to worry about it. Switching over.
Exactly right. And there's the link. It's in the YouTube chat. Follow it over. Join us on Rumble. Watcher, are we all set to hit that video?
Days. I'll say that. Come to Shield Field Days. It'll be fun.
Come to Field. Yeah. That's a great.
Yeah, we're ready.
You know what? Before we go, let me just clear the decks with. I got a couple super chats. Let's see.
James E. Would you rather have a UI that's janky or be able to say what you want to say?
Yeah. Yeah. Peter says helicopter tours for $2 says defund the police turned into a rich now pay extra for the security. Nothing changes. Rent-a-cops versus single Molotov drone. Yeah, well, that'll be interesting when you start seeing these protector rent-a-cop guys essentially having to do counter UAS duties as well. And oh yes, that's coming. Joe, by the way, did you see the link I sent? I tagged you in that where it was lessons from the Russian front, where they were talking about basic marksmanship and shotguns with actual ammo can make a difference in the drone war.
Yes, this is why I use the Winchester Defender shotgun rounds. It's 1 slug plus 3 buckshot, and it is great. It would be really good for counter drone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also think one of the things that I think is interesting, I bet they're using like buckshot or something like that, which doesn't have as many and it doesn't spread as much. I wonder if birdshot literally would be your
they're
better
probably
bet.
using number 4 buck, which is smaller and more like a turkey round than a deer round.
Yeah, that makes sense. The turkey round, yeah. I forgot all about those. Anyway, the interesting thing in that thread was that they complained about a lack of ammo and a lack of shotguns, I guess.
You know who teaches the shotgun class but doesn't ever advertise it? This guy. And more importantly, I forgot to advertise this, but I'll do it now before the YouTube people go. War Lizard Tactical, our good friend Joel Gaines down in Arizona, who tells you to hydrate or dihydrate. will be teaching defensive handgun at Camp Ponderosa in July of 26.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. All right. All right, guys, this is all for YouTube. Watcher, go ahead and take us.
2, 0, 1.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone.
3, 6, 4, 6.
The chair is against the wall.
3, 6.
The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5.
John has a long mustache.
8, 2, 5, 0, 9.
It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.